Today's guest sits at the intersection of digital strategy, culture, and youth storytelling. Zowla is a digital strategist who has spent years working inside youth-facing media environments, thinking deeply about how young people are spoken to, how culture is translated online, and what responsibility comes with shaping digital spaces. Her journey spans being behind the mic to working behind the scenes, giving her a rare perspective on both performance and strategy, voice and infrastructure. What makes her work compelling isn't just platform knowledge, but the intentionality behind what gets amplified, what gets archived, and what gets left out. In this conversation, we're not here for quick tips or trend predictions. We're unpacking the thinking, how digital strategy becomes cultural translation, how creativity is protected in an always-on environment, and how creators should be approaching 2026 with more discernment and less noise. This is The Edit, and this is Zowla. Hi, Zowla.
How are you?
How are you?
I am fantastic. And yourself?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on The Edit.
Thank you so much for having me. You know, also, I was just thinking about this, like, at the beginning of the year, I literally said on my Instagram, I posted up a vlog saying that, you know what, this year we're switching roles. I want to be in front of the camera a little bit more. So I feel like I kind of manifested this moment. So when you hit me up, I was like, oh, yes.
Can I tell you, like, the stars are aligned. When I hit you up, I was thinking about the plan for the year. We had shot a couple of episodes last year. We launched in January. And then I was like, okay, now we need to get a few more people in. I was watching something on YouTube and it was about, you know, beginning of the year trends, social media trends, digital trends. And I said, I want to talk about that. And for some reason that day I was listening to YFM. And I used to listen to YFM back in the day. So I'm like, okay, maybe I need to get someone from YFM. And then literally I thought of you and I put down a list. I have a list of 20 people. I'll bring the list. If you guys don't believe me, I'll even show you on it. And I'm like, every Monday I'm going to reach out to one of these people.
Yes.
And I don't know if you remember, but that DM came in at like maybe 6:37. Yes. I was starting to give up. I'm like,
you're like, what is going on?
Are you sending or are you not sending? And I'm like, you know what? People will either respond or not respond.
Yes.
And then maybe 3 years later, she'll say, hey, girl,
I'm ready.
I just saw your DM. I'm ready. So I'm like, let me just send it. And when you responded, I think 2 hours or whatever, I was like, why was I so scared? Because she literally responded today. So I'm so excited you're here. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad it's something that was like, almost like on your manifestation list as well.
That's how I was like, the stars were aligned.
Thank you. Love it. You look so good.
Thank you so much. You know, I had to show up for you.
Damn, girl, you done showed up. And you smell so good. What are you wearing?
Thank you so much. So I'm actually wearing this fragrance from Zara. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, they've got like really nice dupes.
They do.
So this one is, I think it's Moonlight.
Okay.
Too amazing.
Oh, the Baccarat Rouge dupe is also quite good.
I think I need to try that one. Also Oriental.
Delicious.
Oriental is also another one that you need to try.
I'll give it a try. What were you listening to on your way here? What's on the playlist?
I wasn't even listening to anything on the playlist. Can I just say I was rambling to my sister. I was literally letting her know that I'm about to be on a podcast and she's making fun of me. Like, what are you going to say?
Yeah.
Are you going to be like, this is how you make it? Like, this is how you work hard. And we were literally like joking about it. I think she was also trying to calm my nerves at the same time. But also, and then before that phone call, I was on a phone call with my boyfriend as well. So yeah, that's literally what I was doing. But usually I'm listening to music. Mm-hmm. I think what's playing right now that I've been listening to, believe it or not, I love throwbacks.
Yeah.
So yesterday I was bumping Drake, 2015, the album that he actually did with Future. So that's what I've been listening to. Yeah.
That's great. This podcast is an entire Drake stan account. So
really?
We love Drake.
I'm waiting for him to come to the country, girl.
I keep saying like things and people, I'm like, is this real? Is this fake? I'm just like, I'm going to find out when I find out.
I also think so. But one thing that you should do, I think that you need to have a bank account dedicated to Drake tickets. Make sure that you're ready. Put away a good 4K just in case. Standard. Just be ready in case Drake is actually coming to the country.
I hope he does. Drake, if you're watching this, I know you watch this. Champagne Babi. So, Zowla, I want to get into, obviously, what your sister said. How do you make it? But we need to dial it back a little bit, you know. What did you study? Or maybe we can even take it a step further. I mean, I know the school that you went to. I know the high school you went to. I know the varsity that you went to. But someone who is encountering you for the first time today might not know that.
Yeah.
I don't know if high school is something that might have an impact on who you are today. But maybe just take us through that journey about young Zowla and what she wanted for herself.
Yeah, so Zowla is from the East Rand side of Johannesburg, in Benoni, to be specific. Representing the East side. I feel like all the superstars are from the East.
Absolutely.
You know? Thank you. So I've always loved the idea of entertainment, radio, and it's something that I've loved for as long as I can remember. And I just remember even back when I was younger, I used to look in front of the mirror and pretend like I'm about to be on TV or something. But a little something really loved radio, loved public speaking for as long as I could actually remember. And I'm going to flex right now, but back in high school, I was the chairperson of public speaking for all 5 years.
And you sound like it.
Yes, so I was always that girl that's always looking forward to public speaking.
Yeah.
When people are shying away from making speeches in the classroom, I was like, put me on. I'm so ready. I want to say something. So that's literally where it all started.
Yeah.
Fast forward, when I got into varsity, I was like trying to think what it is that I want to study.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, at one point I wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay.
And then that changed. I wanted to be a magazine editor.
Okay.
Because I was like,
now we're sort of moving.
Now we're sort of moving. And then afterwards, there was like a touch of marketing and advertising at the same time. You know, when you're watching Generations?
Of course.
And then there's Iswini Communications.
Thank you.
And they're like,
after work. All of it. It all connects.
I was literally like, I want to do that. And then afterwards, there was radio at the same time. And then I was like thinking to myself, you know what? I want to study something where I can dabble into all of those things. I want a little bit of marketing. I want a little bit of media, a little bit of advertising, a little bit of PR and a business element into it. And then that's when I decided on corporate communication, because I was like, that's what I want to do. And I'm going to be a jack of all trades, but a master to all of these things. And that's when I decided that corporate communication is the thing that I'm going to study. And I did it at Varsity College.
So during that time, you've mentioned that you wanted to be involved in like different, parts of media, journalism, marketing, PR. And now you are in digital.
Yes.
What, like during that time when you were studying, do you think you were well equipped for this era now? Or you feel like you need to go back and do a course or two to stay up to speed?
Believe it or not, like digital media literally just fell on my lap. Back then, it wasn't a plan.
Okay.
I was literally just posting for the sake of posting until I actually got my first internship, which happened to be the Y Academy.
Okay.
And I was actually going in there wanting to be a radio presenter. But the nice part about this internship was the fact that you actually rotated amongst the different departments.
Okay.
So I started at news, trying to figure out, do I want to be a newsreader? And then there was marketing, and then there was sales, and then there's music, and then there's production. And at the end of this internship, you actually get to decide whether it is that you want to go into that specific thing. And then from there, I was just like, I'm not sure. But radio was still like the number one thing.
Yeah.
And then came a time where the radio station itself was starting to move into the digital space. And then I think maybe they thought that they were punishing the interns by making us now start tweeting for certain shows. So I was like doing social media for DJ Sabby's show.
Okay.
So everybody had like a certain slot that they would like help out with on social media as an intern.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. And that's where it actually started. And I was like, wait, is this a real job? Like, is this what I'm actually supposed to be
140
doing?
characters and I get paid? Okay.
And this is it. And like what, we must just take videos?
Yeah.
And that's it. And I get to post that. And I remember even at the time, like an intern and I were like, giggling about this. Like we were like, wait, this is a real job and we can actually like make money out of this. And that's when it like popped up and I was like, actually, I can do this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I still wanted radio, right?
Okay.
And the internship was for 6 months. And during that time, we also had Ground Zero. Did exceptionally well when it came to the on-air part of it.
Okay.
And the programs manager at that time, I think his name was Tsepo Stapura. He also did give me an opportunity to actually even co-host when a certain presenter wasn't on air and they needed a stand-in. So I was just like,
things are moving.
Things are moving. And I was like, oh, surely I'm getting a gig at this place. Surely it has to be me.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately it didn't happen. But I was like so like ambitious and ready, and I knew what I actually wanted.
Yeah.
Then I hit up another radio station called Trans Africa Radio.
Yes.
And it was literally like, I think it was 2 months after the internship. And I was like, hey, I also do social media. I do radio. And at the time, they're like, oh, great. Social media brands are actually starting to get into that. We need a social media content writer. Okay. And I was like, okay, that's me. Literally went in there, sold myself to this woman. I don't know how she actually did it. How she could even believe in a person that had like zero experience.
But you did.
I mean, just like a couple of months, like a good 6 months.
Yeah.
But the fact that she trusted me with that and she said, come through, was crazy. And then I got in there and I was just doing, writing down the stories on the website, entertainment stories. So I would literally write that down. I'd tweet about the shows that are coming up. So all of that social media work was happening. And then came one time where a specific host didn't show up.
Okay.
And when the host didn't show up, I was like, you know, I do radio, right?
And
then they're like, yeah, like you can actually do it. And I was just like, okay, let's go. And then I hosted that very first time on the radio station, and the show was called Lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I went on and I was like, I'm Zowla Gxagxisa, Gxagxisa, to be quite precise. I did that.
Yes,
and
then add like sound of people ululating.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I was just like, damn, I could actually do this.
Yeah.
And before you know it, the programs manager of that station was just like, well, I don't think this person is actually even coming back. And I think that you would be the perfect person to host Lifestyle. And I was just like, okay, I'm ready for this. I could actually do this. And then before you know it, I'm out there being an actual radio presenter.
And how was that for you? How was that experience?
That was the best time ever. Because you dream about certain things for so long. And then when they finally get to manifest and you're in the moment, you're actually like, wait, I'm living in my wildest dreams. I remember one friend texting me and was like, Zo, I can't believe you actually did it. You used to speak about doing radio so much. I was even that irritating friend that would actually record voice notes and like, listen to me like doing a link. How do I sound?
Oh, look at you.
Great? And I think everybody was just like,
over it.
Come on now. But then it was just like a full circle moment that the things that you actually spoke about are actually manifesting. And fast forward, I also decided that, you know what, I'm going to hit YFM back again and I'm going to try to actually get in. And the programs manager at the time now was Dumelo, and I hit him up and I was like, hey, I did the Y Academy and I really did well on air. So I'm hoping that you could actually listen to my demo and I could actually pop through and we can have a conversation. And I even was like, tactical about how I did it.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, I'm not even looking for a show. I know you guys want stand-ins in December. I don't mind actually coming in to actually, stand in for a couple of presenters that are not going to be on air and going on holiday during that time. And he literally said, you know what, come through, let's have a chat. He listened to my demo. I got there and we had a great chat.
Yeah.
And then I know that he was very strict about radio. And I was just like, okay, this is actually quite serious now. And then at the same time, it was just like, wait, where are you working at the moment? And I was just like, I'm at Trans Africa Radio. But then because it was an online radio station, it wasn't like competing with one another. So I could actually do both.
Okay.
And he was like, okay, you know what? You can do the playground. It's a nighttime slot, but show up, and that's exactly what I did. And I showed up and I was just got that, and I started doing radio at Y. I'm doing the playground, and every time I made sure that like I literally showed up for it. And then fast forward, at the same time, this love for radio was happening, but at the back, social media was now starting to take off. And then I just even landed my job at social media management for a brand called Intershoe and Footwork and Zaxi and Pierre Cardin, and now was managing the social media pages for those brands.
So you had the 3 jobs now. Were you still doing Trans Africa online?
I was doing Trans Africa online, doing the playground, and then once I got offered the job for social media management, and I was like, one thing has to go because I can't like do everything at this point. And then that's when I decided to let go of Trans Africa Radio. Okay. And then started doing the social media job. That took over. And I remember the one time that I was actually in studio at Y and I was like doing a show, and I was like, but Zo, like the things that you spoke about are actually happening. You have this and you're in the seats. and you're linking on like a radio station, a commercial radio station that you've always wanted to work for when you were younger. It's happened. And I was literally satisfied with that moment.
Yeah.
And then a part of me was also just like, you know what? I'm also going to take the social media thing to a different level now. And that also quickly went by so fast that I was now developing into like this creative brand strategist, because now I wasn't just doing social media anymore. I was practically like conceptualizing campaigns.
Yeah, from start to finish.
From start to finish. And I'm also like executing them. And then I'm just starting to think to myself, like, damn, this is actually working out. But at the same time, radio was still at the back. Unfortunately, my contract didn't get renewed at the time. And then I was just still like, you know what? We're going to carry on with this. And this is what we're actually going to do.
Yeah.
And later it developed. And now I'm doing campaigns with like really big personalities as well.
Yeah.
And I'm like in the boardroom presenting to like brands and saying, okay, maybe this ambassador is the one that we need to be picking. This will work. This is not going to work. And the fact that I'm in these rooms and they actually like listening to what I have to say.
Yeah.
And a part of me also feels like radio prepared me for that. The presentation part of it, being able to walk in and be confident and literally stand by what I'm saying and believe that this certain campaign is going to work and this is how it's going to flow. Nothing could have prepared me for that except for radio, you know?
But I think it's also the radio station that you were at. YFM is so youth focused.
Yes.
And because of that, it is basically, it's imaginative. It is ambitious. It is curious in its nature as a station, and it imparts that somehow into youth across South Africa.
Absolutely.
So I think when you're in those boardrooms now and you're doing all these different types of strategies from start to finish and speaking to quote unquote an urban youth culture, you know their voice, you know what they're listening to or what they would be interested in, or the ambassadors they want to see. So you were definitely well prepared.
So I was definitely well prepared. So I'm doing this brand work for footwork and Ipanema and all of those stuff. And then I saw an advertisement about like a job. I'm a digital producer at the time, and it was at Y. And I was like, you know what? Let me try out.
What a relationship between you and Y.
Yes, like I keep trying to let go, but I'm just like, maybe this is a sign.
This is a sign.
I literally go in there. In my mind, I was like, I surely killed this interview. I was like, you need to hire me. Are you guys?
I love that about you. Like when you walked into Trans Africa Radio, you're just like, I'm just going to convince this lady.
Yes, I'm going to convince
Like you
this lady.
believe in yourself. You're just like, actually, I would hire me.
Yes. And I'm just, after the interview, I was like, surely you need to hire me at this point. And unfortunately, I didn't get that job.
I will.
And I was just like, how is that possible? That doesn't make sense. But anyway, I carry on with my life and I'm still continuing with what I'm doing. Couple of months pass by. Somebody from Y actually hits me up. And it's like, you know what? There's a role of a digital content editor. And I think that you'd be amazing at it.
Is this now someone that you knew, like part of maybe your Y Academy network, or just someone you used to, bump into on the corridor during your time there?
At the time, it was a lady that was in my interview.
Okay.
Right? And then she was just like, hey, I think this role would be perfect for you. The previous role, actually, the truth is, we didn't actually give it to you because we felt like maybe it's not like something that maybe you would get bored at some point doing. But like this thing that you're doing there aligns a lot with what's actually happening at Y, and we're removing within the digital space. So you would do amazing in it. And I was just like, okay, maybe this is it. Let me try out. I hand in my CV as well, just like everybody else. Thank God I actually got a call back. And I was just like, okay, this time I'm really convincing them. I'm going to try my best. And it was one of the toughest interviews, but also at the same time, one of the most fulfilling, because when I walked out of there and I was just like, damn, I really think I would do amazing at this.
Was it the questions, or did you guys have to do some sort of test?
Had to do some sort of test, but also the questions that were put in there, it was not a matter of, so like, give us the trends of what's happening. They were literally asking you questions in real life. This is the situation. This is the campaign. How would you put it together? And it was just like, okay, and I'm out here spinning ideas, trying to give it to them at the same time. And I'm just like, oh, I hope this is right. I hope I didn't stutter. I hope I didn't. But at the end of the day, I got the job, and it was a beginning of a whole different era for me. And when I walked in at Y, I just didn't even realize that I would get to the point where I am today.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how the hell did that happen?
Well, we're here to find out.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, wait, are we actually creating digital content and starting an entire movement for youth culture? And that's exactly what happened.
And that's what I want to touch on. When did you actually realize, like, so now you've got the job, you're doing the work, and you're like, okay, we're doing this for youth culture. But when did you actually realize that this is actually going to be archived online? We're preserving youth culture.
Yeah.
We're saving up to say, this is 2026, and this is what South African youth looks like. This is 2025. This is 2024. Like, there is an archive now that you have clearly been a part of at YFM, lest we forget how big of a name that is. So when did you then sit down with yourself and say, I'm actually shaping youth culture?
Jeez, I don't even think we realized what we were doing until we were recognized for doing what we're doing. At the time, I was working with two digital content producers who actually even happen to be one of my closest friends right now, Lerato and Tepang. And we were just creating content for the sake of it. We were just like, we got KPIs to reach. They're expecting videos and they want us to like do the social media thing. And we were trying out everything under the sun. We were just like, yeah, that trend, that video, jump onto that. Go get that thing. Or maybe we should invite this person to do this thing. Sometimes it doesn't have to be associated with just on air. Let's start a whole little lifestyle type of a thing. And then now at events, we're like, no, we're going to capture events differently. Let's call up that videographer. We're going to do live edits now. We're going to get photographers in. We want people to even feel events through our eyes when we post them on social media. And that's what we started doing. We're like, okay, we're getting into the crowd now. We're going to create content with just your everyday people. And we literally started doing that until like people started coming and they're like, that thing that you guys are doing as a team is amazing. And it was just like, wait, did we actually like create an entire ecosystem now here? Did we actually just create a cultural movement? And believe me when I say that we just didn't know what we were doing until we realized that, damn, we're actually shifting the culture in some sort of way when it comes to the youth.
That was so interesting for me because what you guys managed to do was make the community like part of the decisions in the boardroom. If you bump into me at a Y event and you come ask me a question, I'm now going to be on your social media looking for that clip. Like, I was at that event and I spoke to them. It's going, live on Thursday. I have to stick around for this. That is amazing. So, a typical digital strategy, you spoke about you guys were just doing this, that, and everything, just throwing everything in at once and just trying to see what's going to come out. Digital strategy is more about the easy stuff. Are we going to get engagement? Are we going to get reach? Are we going to get visibility? What informs your strategy?
And holistically?
Yes.
Geez, a lot of people would even say, you're like, okay, when you're doing your strategy, you're trying to figure out, okay, which platform is this certain thing going to work in? But more than anything, storytelling is so important. And I know that like we hear this a lot right now in the industry where people are talking about storytelling, but that's one thing that will forever like move your strategy forward when it comes to social media. Because you're communicating with people on a different level. We're online, right? And you need to find that one thing that you actually connect with people. And that is what I actually include within all the digital strategies that I've ever done. I always want to make sure that people that are listening or rather viewing this content piece feel connected to it. So therefore, storytelling, make sure that you tell it in the most authentic way possible because young people can see right through brands that are actually like faking it. They ask the right questions. They call out something if it's not making sense. So therefore, I literally make sure that storytelling is always authentic and takes center stage.
You have a very tough crowd. Like the youth is very, very difficult to speak to.
Tell me about
so
it.
In like the youth-facing environments that you've worked in, what have you learned about how youth wants to be spoken to and also how they don't want to be spoken to?
Sheesh. I have to even be honest right now. I'm still even in the process of learning because when you actually think of the word youth and then also the digital space, those are two words that are literally evolving every single time. And they coexist because they're constantly evolving. And therefore, you need to find a way to be able to speak to these individuals. But at the same time, I'm still learning. I remember actually going through social media, right? and literally trying to find content and inspiration on like certain things that are like taking place and how we can actually even better communicate with the youth. And then I came across a clip, which also, ironically enough, my partner showed me this post actually, where it was saying young people are so unhappy because of how things were. You move in a certain way and you're told to do certain things, but then you actually realize that, okay, we've done exactly what they told us to do, but we're still in an unfortunate position, right? And that literally like sparked something with realizing that the youth want the truth. They want to be spoken to in a way where you're transparent, where you're authentic. And also at the same time, they're different. One person could walk in and say something else that's within the youth market, and another one is going to tell you something else completely different from what the other one has said. So you need to realize that there's different personalities. These people, when you're studying them, and which is something that we do a lot, and we try to figure out how is it can we actually even communicate with them, but you also need to realize that they're completely different. All of them are different, and they all want a voice, but they want to be communicated in the most transparent, honest, and authentic way.
So with the experiences that you've had with the content that you put out, right, what patterns do you see that have consistently worked, and what are those that you know what, more le khona, we fell flat completely?
Yeah.
Do you have any examples of that?
I think also in a time where the algorithm is changing, there's constantly something, and also AI has taken over. And there's so many
some people
things.
might get whiplash from that word. AI, for those words, AI has taken over. Oh,
someone has taken
passed
over.
Out.
Literally, because you're just like, oh my God, But certain things that I've realized that worked, or that rather also didn't work. There was also times where there was certain content that we were very sure of that, like, no, this surely needs to trend. And it fell completely flat. Right? And we were thinking, no, like, surely there's something wrong. Something's wrong with the algorithm. But we tend to realize that the more you post, right? And a lot of content creators could actually feel as though discouraged that, listen, you're posting, but maybe something is not happening. And you're also thinking to yourself, I'm not going to do this anymore because I'm not getting the reaction that I am to get. But the more you actually post, the more your content starts to get recognized. But also be very strategic in the sense of having taste for your content. And when I mean taste is that literally niche is thrown around a lot within the space, right? But also taste in the sense of like your taste, what you love, what you do. People are going to resonate with that. And somewhere in the world, there are people that enjoy content that has to do with like watching somebody chew food. There's a market for everything. And that's why you have to constantly keep posting, because there's a market out there for everyone. So you have to, the secret is just to keep creating content. In all honesty.
So from your experience, right, how do you decide? There are, 3 leading platforms. There are so many platforms, but we'll just stick to the ones that are leading: TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. How do you decide what to put where?
With a whole lot of things going on, I think people will be like, no, long format content needs to go on YouTube. Unfiltered content needs to go on TikTok. But little do we realize that these different platforms have a hidden deal with the viewer. Right? And when I mean a hidden deal with the viewer, like, think about TikTok. TikTok connects you to strangers. And with those strangers, even though you're not following them, but you're seeing them on your timeline. And you don't have to follow them in order to see them again, but they're going to pop up on your timeline somewhere, somehow. And then it allows you to connect to the stranger in the most unfiltered way. And then on Instagram, those would be like, oh, that's your glossy type of content. But little do you realize that you have a deal with your community, right? And these are the people that you actually have a relationship with, that you're creating content for. You're giving them a reason to share and save content. And that's why your community would be writing for all the things that you're doing on Instagram, because that's who you're creating content for. And then also then on YouTube, that's where your long format content is, but that's where you sit down and you're getting in depth, right? With your audience. But also at the same time, you need to decide what, and I'm looking for the right word, what reaction or what do you want to receive from your content? And that's how you actually decide on which platform to put what type of content in. You actually take center stage, and you are the one that actually gets to decide. So it's not a matter of, hey, if you're trying to connect with your community, then maybe this is it. Instagram could be that thing, because you have formed a relationship with those people and they're writing for you. And TikTok is where you're connecting with the strangers. So therefore, and strangers are so open to like forming this little community. And also it sparks quick emotions. So at the end of the day, you need to decide the type of content that you're making, but what type of reaction are you looking for, so that it will guide which platform that you want to put your content within.
That's such a sweet spot, because my follow-up question was literally, how do you measure success on each platform without letting metrics override your cultural instincts for the content that you're putting out? So if you believe in it and you continue to post, you will find your people. You
will find your people. But also, I just want to add with that, a lot of the times we focus on metrics, and a lot of the times brands are like, how many followers, how much engagement do you have, what is happening, how many likes and whatnot. But also, people also need to sit back and actually start to think to themselves as well, like, content, we're engaging with one another. We're also trying to find what works and what does not work, right? And with that being said, in terms of seeing which metrics work or not, or whatever, but use the content that you put out as like a diagnosis of what you need to keep doing and what you need to change up. So therefore on TikTok, you have like 3 to 30 seconds to actually like make an impression for it to be hooked or for it to go viral per se. But that matrix and things like that, and performance and the insights, you need to be able to use it to actually diagnose your content of what you need to do to actually get the return on investment that you're looking for. So therefore it would be like, okay, this time maybe my hook wasn't strong enough. I need to find a stronger hook. So instead of looking at matrix as something whereby you're like looking at numbers, so my content didn't do well, but look at your watch time, look at how long people were captivated at a certain point for your content, and use that in a positive way to actually build your content.
That is such a good cue. I'm going to use that for myself.
Please
personally.
do.
So, we hear a lot of terms, and you'll probably resonate with us because you guys are always on. Like, the field that you're in, there is culture never sleeps, content never stops. At the end of the day, you are just a girl, and you are just a human being. You need to recharge. How do you ensure that, you don't get creative burnout?
Sure. And then at a time like this where burnout is like a real thing. And I've also experienced it. In the past 2 years, I've been really glued into what I do, specifically like within my career. And I'm always just like, okay, we got to create content. We said we're this content hub. And therefore, I work for a radio station brand, and that thing does not sleep.
It's literally around the clock.
It's around the clock, 24/7, 365. And then within that, I actually also just realized that it's so important to create this work-life balance. But also at the same time, in order for me to not get burnout, I'm okay with being left out of certain things now. Because then you don't have to be in every single little thing, in every space. You don't have the capacity. Exactly, you don't have the capacity. And that's what I've literally decided for myself, that I can't be within every single thing. And also delegation is something that I'm even starting to learn right now so that I don't get burnout. We're so fortunate enough to have like even team members work with us within this creative space. And there's so much room for us to actually grow. There's so much pie for everybody to actually have a slice. So therefore also delegate with the creatives around you, and so that they're also experiencing what you're experiencing, and so that you're not handling too much, and that there's no burnouts that you're actually experiencing. So things are always going to evolve. Things are always going to be there. Maybe that one event and where you guys were creating content missed you, but there's going to be another one that you're going to help onto. So that's why I'm saying that, like, I've just decided that I'm okay with being left out of certain things.
And did that realization come after you actually had like a burnout experience?
Yes.
Or was it when you were going towards it? Like, I'm actually about to burn out, so let me kick in these leadership skills and just, start delegating and trusting my team to handle certain events.
Yes. I think it was towards a burnout when I realized that I'm so tired. You're so tired, but then when you get to bed, you can't sleep. Now you're doom scrolling. And you're sitting there, and then it's 2 a.m. in the morning. And then afterwards, you have to get up and get to work. And then, like, the cycle literally continues over and over. And that's when I actually decided that I can't keep doing this. And you don't have to do everything. I'm so blessed and so lucky that I have, like, a creative team that I work with that are so talented and that are also just as capable to do what I do as well. And therefore, that's when I was just like, you know what? Everybody's capable of doing this. And at a time like this, we also need to put people on. Like, let's go. You can't literally be hogging onto all these projects and be like, I'm going to do them by myself.
And that's the only way to grow, even for you. That's the succession plan. You need to get someone who's going to do what you do, so you can also go do something else.
Exactly. So then that's when I realized that my work balance was not okay, and that I needed to also start delegating and also start leaning on certain individuals to actually help me out, so that I'm able to balance everything out. And that's when it actually kicked in.
Okay. So now I just want to talk about the type of conversations that media is having, and particularly around youth. When we were growing up, we had different shows. When we were younger, there was stuff like Soul Buddies. And then we later on, I mean, I only started watching Yizo, like, I think when it was on Netflix. Like,
Are you for real?
Yes. When I was younger, I probably know about 1 or 2 episodes, like the ones that everyone was talking about in school, but I've never dedicated times like I'm sitting. First of all, there's 3, I'm like the last born of 4. There are 3 older boys. They were always hogging the remote, so I never really got time to watch TV at night. But when I started watching Yizo, like later on, a couple of years ago, I was like, okay, I see now that it is educational, but I can understand back then why it was so controversial, where it was like, this must get off our TV, this must get off.
You better go sleep when it's playing.
Exactly. And it was more like, okay, I understand the age limits, like age restriction, that I guess, but it was also more, because it was so raw, and it was about realism, like these are the issues that, underserved communities are going through, especially in schools and all of that. What do you think, like right now, like, media owes the youth? Like, what conversations do you think media owes the youth and are not having because maybe they're not cognizant of the fact of how they can actually shape youth minds or culture or direction? For instance, another example I'll give is I got into media because of listening to shows on YFM. I thought I was going to be a newsreader because of Zowla, and that was like my North Star of superstardom.
Note, you were just like her.
Exactly. So then there were different conversations that media was having. It was like youth is capable of different careers outside of being a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever else. What do you think media is not having right now? Like, what are those conversations that are owed to the youth?
I think also with everything that's happening right now and what young people are facing, and like I mentioned earlier on, some young people are actually unhappy. And that's like literally like the biggest thing that's happening right now. Some aren't able to get funding for school, which is a big thing, some are doing online ssschooling, but then how are you also having like a social life at the same time? And then you end up being depressed because you're not communicating with other people as well. And I feel like those real conversations are some things that are actually being ignored, things that people should actually be speaking more often about. And instead of even trying to get the perfect representative to have these conversations, there's so many young people walking around with so many issues, and I just feel like we're not dabbling into the one thing that people are even putting their hands up about, that I need free education, and it keeps being swept away. There's not proper communication even happening from the higher ups, and they're not saying what's happening. Like, we all hearing one another, but nobody's actually having a proper conversation and actually sitting down and saying, guys, what's happening? What are we doing here?
Do you think they're actually doing that research to see that this is what the youth are struggling with? And do you think they understand the influence that media actually has to change those perceptions?
I mean, working for a brand that literally deals with youth issues, I'd like to think that we're in the perfect position to actually do that. I mean, even with the Y Academy right now, we've literally taken a moment to even start those conversations and let the young ones actually tell us, what is it that you guys want to discuss?
Yeah.
What is it that you guys want to shine the light on? And it would be so nice that if other organizations could actually do the same, we listen to the younger people and be like, this is what we're struggling with. This is what we can't get around. We're entering into a workspace environment and we can't cope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we are experiencing anxiety, and people would think that like that word is like, because everybody's using it right now. It's like a buzzword. Or look at them now, they're coming through and they're telling us that they're anxious again.
Anxiety.
But it's a real thing.
Yeah.
And more organizations need to realize that they need to actually tap into those types of conversations. And it doesn't even have to be within a big scale. Like it starts right here, you and I having a conversation about it. But also, why isn't it that those certain organizations could also have a conversation with their young people within that organization working there and trying to tackle the things that youth is currently struggling with? So it doesn't start on a big scale, but it starts on like a even lower level, face to face, where we all one-on-one, where we're actually like trying to find solutions for the things that we're currently going through.
So beautifully said. Now for the real reason why you're here.
Oh my goodness. Should I get ready?
Get ready. So there's a lot of stuff happening. It's the beginning of the year. We all know trends is like topical right now. And I just wanted to know, as someone who, I just started this YouTube page this year, I'm trying to get into content creation myself. And I just wanted to find out from someone who has literally built a career and has a team and can delegate and advise on this. Looking ahead at 2026, what do you think creators are under-investing in that they need to focus more on?
Sheesh. I feel like creators, or rather influencers,
That whole space.
Space. Believe it or not, you can have followers, right? But then what matters is the relationship that you're actually creating with your people. And that's the biggest trend that will always like be there. And also trying to even make sure that you're forming this little club, this little group, this little community that are actually subscribing to your content. And what I love about Instagram right now is the fact that they've started this thing where you can also subscribe to people's channels and also view certain content. When you subscribe to that specific content, right, with that creator. So therefore, I think that is something that people often overlook, where you're just creating content for the sake of content and you're just posting for the sake of posting content. But people must not overlook that relationship that they have with their followers at a time where people are also quietly listening. So people are not, and I don't know if you've noticed, even like the biggest of creators, when you look at people's likes and engagements, you realize that, okay, maybe people aren't saying much anymore, but they also they're actually saving your content. They're actually interested in what you want to say. So therefore you maybe could capitalize on that and actually start monetizing within that space, because build that relationship with those people so that you're able to monetize your community as well. So a lot of the times people often overlook that. I feel like somebody who does, like content creators who actually do it very well. Firstly, Pamela Mdanga.
Yes.
Like the way she creates content and actually like engages with her community.
I mean, we even now have her tagline. If I woke up, it's an occasion.
Like what?
With me.
She's literally made that a thing, and she's communicated with people so much, and at this point in time, I even feel like there's no AI that's coming to replace that personality, the way that she's captured that content. As well as I think Tato Ramberi is doing really, really well with the networks of shows that he's actually creating, which is very smart. He's looking at his community and he's engaging with it, probably guiding how he actually should go about this content business, which he's able to actually monetize in, to the point that he's actually basically able to sell a certain product to content creators, saying, hey, this is how you can actually build your content to get to where I am. So I think people need to actually look into that when it comes to the trends that are taking place.
Okay. And lastly, if you were starting over today from scratch, like what is it that you would completely ignore?
Sheesh.
And don't say the haters, please.
I feel like the haters. What would I ignore today?
Yeah.
Jeez. I think I would actually ignore the little voice also in my head telling me that I can't do this thing.
Yeah.
And I think I struggled with that a lot at the beginning of my journey.
Okay.
Because I was always just like, no, you can't do it. You surely this is like too big for you to even try. But I honestly feel like if I was starting over, I would be a lot more bolder and a lot more braver.
Yeah.
And I would just not listen to any imposter syndrome within me telling me that I can't do something. Because then as much as I could sit here and be like, oh, this happened, and fast forward, there were moments where it was just felt like it was just not working out at all.
Yeah.
So I think if I was starting over again, I would trust me a little bit more instead of waiting for somebody to tell me how good I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And you've got so much to say, and I'm interested in
Yeah.
what you're saying. The whole time I'm just like, oh, okay, I've got a note on that, little asterisk on that. I'm gonna go asterisk on that. I'm gonna go watch it again. I really love listening to you and your voice. And you're now in a situation where you work at the back end.
Yeah.
And you are someone who comes from in front of the mic. Is this now a relationship like, you know, manager and artist, where the manager should never be the artist? Is that your relationship with radio now? Will we ever get to hear you behind the mic again? Or you're just like, I'm fine behind
the mic. Well, not necessarily like saying I'm fine completely behind the mic. If it happens, it happens. Right now, at a certain point, I'm not even like actively trying.
Yeah.
But in a certain way, it sometimes like finds me, because then I would find myself doing voiceovers, right? And it would just happen.
Yeah.
So I'm in a position where I'm not forcing it to happen. I'm in a position where I'm just saying, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm currently enjoying the journey that I'm in right now. And also what I've realized is that I love the process of building something within the social media space and conceptualizing things, and literally watching that happen and people reacting to it. I'm loving that so much. So I feel that if it's meant to happen again, it will happen. But right now, it's an intentional choice of me saying that I'm enjoying the space that I'm in right now.
Okay, so if we were to put it against impact, would you say, just Zowla to Zowla, not to me or an audience, but to yourself, would you say you've had more of an impact in your career behind the mic or behind the scenes with the different types of, POVs you've been able to look into or shape in terms of narratives? Because the nice thing about being behind the scenes is exactly that. It's your idea that you thought of one day and you're like, let's just see if it's going to work. And then it resonates with millions of people.
I definitely feel like the impact has come from behind. And I know it's going to be like, yeah, but you love radio so much and you wanted to be the person in front of the mic so much. But I feel like the position that I'm in right now, I've been so fortunate and within a space where we're able to create content that impacts young people. On a whole different level. And sometimes it just doesn't matter who's standing in front of the camera or in front of the mic, but the message is getting through. And I'm so lucky that I also work with talent that are able to deliver that certain thing that we actually put out there, or this creative concept that I'm trying to actually put out there. I'm so fortunate of that. And because of that, we've been able to have so much more impact than ever as opposed to being on the mic. I'm not saying that I don't love it, but I just love how my journey has unfolded.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Zowla. We're closing now. Imagine. I feel like we just sat down.
I'm like, wait, we just started.
I'm just getting
Give
comfortable.
me more questions.
So it's basically tradition on the show to round off the show with introspective sentiments from the guest.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start a sentence and then you finish it off for me.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
I leave you with this.
I leave you with not letting your mind also be a negative impact. A lot of the time, their inner voice is telling you certain things, right? That you can't do this or you can't do that. You're not big enough for this or you got to wait for a certain moment. Yeah. But you can't allow that to happen. You control the mind. Yeah. So therefore, I leave you with being bold. Be bold. Be a person that is afraid of no boundaries. Yeah. And go out for exactly what you want, because you'll be amazed at the results of what you actually can bring.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for the pleasure of your company. This was lovely. Thank you so much for watching, guys. This is a wrap. Bye.
It's a wrap.